Hello and welcome. NFL is back and here I am. For every single game that will be played this year, I will give you a 3-word preview. I will try to sum it up in just 3 words. And then I will give you much more context of what these teams against another can do to each other in every single matchup. And well, let's get started because week 1 is just coming like 3 hours or 4 hours from now. So yeah, it might be a little bit too late. I'm sorry for that, but let's go. Now, we will start with the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Thursday night matchup that's going to open this year. Well, what is my storyline? Stealing the spotlight. Yeah, I mean Eagles, Super Bowl champions, losing a ton of players in free agency, amazing draft. And yet, the most talk about team in the NFL is of course Dallas Cowboys, because that's what it is all about, Jerry. It's all about those numbers in the TV ratings, etc., etc. You have not been in conference championship and you are not going to go there this year, at least not in my opinion. And trading Micah Parsons, I mean, that's kind of part of the deal with Jerry, because the way he tracks this deal, so he gets the spotlight, so he gets the views, well, then it costs more money. It cost much more money with Dak Prescott than he needed. He should have been signed for like 45 to 50 million rather than a 60 million a year. The same with CD Lamb. I'm not saying those guys don't deserve it, but we can see that just dragging this negotiation are pushing the cap hit up to the parts where like Micah Parsons trade might actually be reasonable from that side, because having guys combined for like 140 millions, I know it's key position, but that's still too freaking much. So yeah, I'm not going to try to apologize or justify the trade. It was a bad trade in my opinion. And mostly because of the compensation. Like, there was a part of me where like, yeah, trading Micah is possible. Just like I was with the Browns, I was in favor of trading Myles Garrett because the ransom. I don't think Dallas necessarily got the ransom. But back to this matchup. I think that the spotlight that has been stolen from the Eagles could be used as a motivation. And knowing Nick Sirianni, he is a bit of a dick, right? Like, there were some altercations with the fans, and just Cowboys visiting you week 1, I kind of would not put it past him to just try to a little bit humiliate them. And let's be frank, when I look at the offensive line of Eagles that is healthy, and it's the best line in football, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Terrence Steele, and Lane Johnson, against what Cowboys have to offer, I mean, without Micah, I don't think the pass rush is there. And Kenny Clark, yeah, he's a solid run defender, but he does not solve your run defense when you are Cowboys. I'm like, what's the plan here? Like, how do you do this? I don't think you necessarily can. Perhaps if Demarion Overshown was healthy, with some blitzes from linebacker, perhaps try to disrupt this offensive line, but without him even, this is going to be very, very tough for Cowboys to do anything towards this offensive line. Jalen Hurts should have time of his life, really all day to throw. And if not, Saquon running down that road, and Jalen as well. Like, in terms of O-line versus D-line, this is a huge mismatch. And it's not like the rest of the rosters are not a mismatch either. The only factor, to me, that can be there for the Cowboys is CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens finally having the number 2 for the Cowboys behind CD. And Dak Prescott, he's coming back from injury. We will see how good he's going to be, but that's kind of like how I see that this matchup could somehow swing in the favor of Cowboys. I think Dak will have to have hell of a game, and George Pickens kind of his favorite target, because I think they will double CD and make you beat them by George Pickens. Now, in terms of matchups, yeah, we talk about Saquon versus Kenny Clark. Yeah, like, it's not necessarily Saquon versus Kenny, because first Kenny has to go through this offensive line to get to Saquon. It's going to be one hell of a ride. And, Saquon, I think he's going to look very good. One question that I would have for all of your like fantasy and some sort of that is like, how many touches are the Eagles going to give him? Because last year it's been hell a lot. And for once, he stayed healthy during the whole year, but that's not necessarily the narrative on Saquon across his entire career. So, if this game is kind of wide open for the Eagles, they lead for 2 touchdowns, etc., don't you turn to Will Shipley or AJ Dillon and perhaps save Saquon a little bit? We talk about another matchup, and that's George Pickens versus Quinyon Mitchell. if Eagles have one position that perhaps is not very strong, is CB2. Now, with that being said, what do? Do you try to double CD with the safety help and put your, let's say, number one outside corner on George Pickens? That's actually how I would have done it. Also, not to mention that Cooper DeJean from the slot is going to take on CD in several formations. So my idea would be, let's double CD if he's against Adoree Jackson. Let's double him and leave Quinn and Mitchell on the island against George Pickens. I trust him, to look good in this matchup. But George Pickens is an interesting player. I would not put it past him to have a big game if they go with this plan. Now, for guys that you should be watching and perhaps you don't know too much about, well, it's this. It's Tyler Guyton and Moro Ojomo. With Tyler, he's a big one. They selected him in the first round last year and he did not look great. 18 penalties on not even 700 snaps, that's really bad. And he is a starter. He is the starting left tackle. And, they may have lost Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, but their D-line is still damn good for the Eagles. And Moro Ojomo is kind of a guy that I definitely have ranked too low. He should be at least the decent starter. To me, it's all about, I just need a little bit more of a sample size for a 7th-round guy that did not really play in 2023 and was playing really good last year, but the sample size is just not too big for me. Now, if that's going to happen, if he continues to have these performances, he's going to perhaps even jump a tier towards a good start. Watch him. Watch for Moro Ojomo. And, those guys will not necessarily meet up, but they are two, I would say, X factors that could swing this game, or perhaps not necessarily the game. The Eagles are, they do have much more quality, but, if there is one, perhaps uncertainty is if Tyler Guyton is actually really good, can stop the pressure, can give Dak his time, CD and George Pickens could be an answer. But overall, I guess you know where I'm leaning. I would not put it past the Eagles to actually blow the floor and wipe the floor with the Cowboys by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Now, for the next game, it's going to be now the second matchup between the Chargers and the Chiefs have my storyline in This is Brazil. I'm no in detail, but do you remember the time when Fast and Furious was actually a really good franchise that, I'm not saying that they necessarily make sense in terms of law or physics, but they didn't jump out of the space and etc. Yeah, I do. And to me, this game feels similar towards what that scene has in terms of a vibe. Weird situation, week 1, on the road, both teams in Brazil, weird turf, kind of anything can happen. And I'm really excited about this one. And first matchup that we will start with is actually Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. Boring, you're just choosing quarterbacks. Not necessarily. But here we are with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, who I think both come up with a bit of a chip on their shoulders for this game and for the whole season before. Because Justin Herbert, to me, he would probably be 6th or 7th best QB, perhaps 5. I'm undecided between him, Jaden Daniels, and Matthew Stafford. Who the 5, 6, and 7 is, but to me, he's amazing. At the same time, he had another stinker in the playoffs, and that was the last time we saw him. And especially with Jalen Hurts, a lot of people believe Jalen is better than Justin. I don't necessarily, hello Eagles fans, but Jaden Daniels definitely coming to a spot, and towards infinity, we cannot be okay, Justin is really great, but he doesn't have a playoff win, so he needs to overcome that. And he was magnificent in regular season last year, and for all intents and purposes, he should have better weapons, but he will be missing Rashawn Slater, obviously. And on the other side, Patrick Mahomes, actually a little bit of chip on his shoulder as well, because, this probably was the first offseason when the talks about, Patrick Mahomes might just not be the best quarterback in the NFL were really big. And you cannot blame them. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson had much better regular season than Patrick did in last 2 years. Though with Patrick, you have one thing. He is freaking clutch. Those 15-2 records last year, it would not happen without Patrick Mahomes. Don't kid yourself. At the same time, we kind of were able to just like gloss over it because it was like, well, he still beats them in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, let's face it, he again beat Josh Allen, but at the same time, he did not win a Super Bowl. And last time he played, it was not great. Obviously, Eagles kind of took his lunch money. Yeah, it was mostly defensive line, just, taking his head off in a way, but still, I think he comes with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And speaking of these two guys, the another two matchups are very, very important for them too. On one side, it's going to be Khalil Mack versus Josh Simmons. I mean, the fact that Chiefs were able to draft Josh Simmons, because he fall, because of injury concerns, he's ready to play week 1. League, how did you let him have, to me, the best tackle in this draft? Yes, there is medical concerns, but it just sucks for the league that Chiefs kind of get away with it now. But still, like week 1 against Khalil Mack, that just like was really outstanding last year. That's kind of a welcome to the NFL moment for a rookie. On the other side, it's not necessarily a rookie in Trey Pipkins, but he's coming back towards playing tackle. Last year he was playing guard, and he's kind of your replaceable level guy. And they were hoping we have our tandem in Rashawn Slater and Joey Alt. We drafted Joey last year, we paid Rashawn Slater, and this might be one of the best tackle duos in the league. Unfortunately, Rashawn Slater went down, and he's going to be missed for the whole year. Joey Alt took and is going to play left tackle, but Trey Pipkins needs to play the right tackle now. And he is not necessarily great. On the other side, you have Chris freaking Jones. And even though he's listed as a defensive tackle, he's going to be moving all over the place and looking for his matchup. And I definitely think that he is going to be looking for this situation and be like, oh yeah, Trey Pipkins, here I am. Well, I cannot stretch it enough. You have to double team Chris Jones. Perhaps even triple team him, or just double team him and like some chip help. Help Trey Pipkins survive this matchup, because if you don't, I worry about Justin Herbert. And at the end of the day, this could be very, very interesting match. We did not mention like offense, Andy Reid versus Jesse Minter. Steve Spagnuolo for defense. Omarion Hampton and his first game in the NFL and the run game of the Chargers. One special matchup that I have not even talked is Ladd McConkey versus Trent McDuffie. Sign me up. There's a lot of matchups that I'm looking for. Both teams, I think, came into this year with Super Bowl aspiration. With Rashawn Slater going down, I feel like those kind of might be out of the window for the Chargers, but at the same time, we should get a treat. With Brazil turf, weird starting time for guys, Friday matchup, Brazil crazy fans, this could really go either way. But, it's hard to pick against Chiefs, always. Now, for the next matchup, we go towards Sunday. And it's Patriots versus Raiders. What is my preview for this one? They are back. Yes. Who I'm talking about? It's Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll. 2 tenure NFL head coaches. I would say with Pete Carroll definitely on his trajectory to the Hall of Fame. With Mike Vrabel, I think he has what it takes to get there. Both had, let's say, 1 year off, and now they are back. Both of these guys preach defense, preach toughness, and yeah, I do believe that this matchup could show you just that. What are the matchups, though, for this team that could really decide this game one way or the other? Well, let's take a look. We will start with Travion Henderson and Ashton Jeanty. Both running backs drafted in this year, and both guys that kind of had a different opinion. I was not a huge fan of Travion Henderson's pick. I think he's a good player, but I did not necessarily like that Patriots did not address their much glaring needs, at least in my eyes, because I think they had quite a good running backs in Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. So I don't think Travion is a bad player. I don't necessarily think this was a bad spot for him. And like learning a little bit more about perhaps using more of two halfback sets, I think he's going to be finding his way on the field. But was he worth it? We will see. At the same time, like this could be a game where he actually has that extra motivation, because like on the other side you will see Ashton freaking Jeanty, and this is the guy that we just could not praise enough. He is amazing prospect. Like everybody talks about him in a way that like if he is the best running back in the NFL this year, they would not be shocked. And like I don't think you can give a player a better praise. Now, he said that in the league that it's all about tackling. I am the guy you cannot tackle. Well, now it's Mike Vrabel, it's his defense, and they will try to tackle you, GMaty. So which out of these two running backs is going to come out on top could very well be one of the deciding points in this one. Now, the next is, well, we talk it with the Chiefs, Simmons. Now it's Will Campbell, and your welcome to the NFL moment is meeting Mad Max Crosby. I mean, his numbers last year were not necessarily worthy of Max Crosby, but the dude was playing injured. Little like, I think since week 3, they eventually shut him down like for week 16 and 17 and going on, but he was playing hurt. He was playing with high ankle sprain, and for a position where like the first step is kind of very, very important, you know, just using your like 50%, that kind of hurts. He still was really great, but don't kid yourself. He is freaking ready to kick your ass, and Will Campbell is going to have really, really brutal awakening towards the reality on the NFL. Can he do it? I think so. He is a nice prospect. At the same time, it's Max freaking Crosby. Now, on the other side, we can talk about weapons for both teams, where we have two wide receivers that are kind of a question / wildcard for this team. What I mean, with Stephon Diggs, 2023, not necessarily great. Then he comes to Houston and plays really well, but gets injured. Now he's not very, very young, right? He's over 30. And he comes back after injury, and he is a guy that they count on to be their future wide receiver, to be their one. Can he do it? That's a big question. Now, on the other side, Jakobi Meyers, I think, is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. He's only paid like 13.5 million this year, which is way too low for a guy of his quality. And that might be why he was like, well, I'm not really sure if I'm going to play this year. I want a new contract, or perhaps I want out. He sent a trade request. As of right now, it seems like he's going to be playing with last year of his deal, and they will kind of see what's what. I think Jacoby should get the new contract. He's really good. At the same time, you know, is he going to be a piece they will trade? Is he going to be a guy that could be, I am not going to say like over, how to spell it, like expandable because of perk powers and Ashton Jetty, these really short yardage monsters, yak after catch threats, where Jakobi Meyers also does a lot of his good work. Perhaps, we will see. But both of these guys are ready to go week 1, and you know, they could be ready to eat. At the end of the day, I really, really like Raiders end of season, but losing Christian Wilkins and not necessarily have the answer in the middle of the defensive line, where like as of right now it's Sean Laulu and Adam Butler to start, I am worried about that. I'm not going to hide it. For the next matchup, we will talk about the Colts versus the Dolphins. And to me, how to say it nicely? Well, both teams, okay, let's do it in 3 words. Both feel flat. I mean, with Colts, it's kind of easy to understand why. Everybody's like, oh my God, it's Daniel Jones starting. Like, how can we get excited for that? And I get you. But at the same time, Colts do have a really nice team around him. And there is not a better place for Daniel Jones to succeed than here. Oh, perhaps in Philadelphia, but that's kind of a sweet spot for every quarterback. But other than that, here with Shane Steichen, which would be very much what the root of the Eagles offense is, like comes from Shane Steichen. He's the one that like kind of set it up the way it's very similar today. I think Daniel Jones could actually be quite good here. For the Dolphins, yeah, I do have a lot of questions for them. I mean, leakage in terms of like, not a tough culture. Guys are not really focused. They are going late, kind of this Miami weather. And Tyreek Hill just, I'm not sure I want to be here. Trading request during last game when you're still in the playoff hunt. Yeah, both teams do feel flat. Not necessarily too much to be excited about them. At the same time, it could be a beneficiary position because if you don't have any expectations, they are easily to overcome. And both teams do have talent on their roster. Well, what are the matchups for this game for me? Yeah, we will start with Bernard Raimann versus Job Robinson. On one side, you have a left tackle that got paid, and it's a great thing for, let's say, Euro football as well. Not to mention Bernard, it's great for him, but for a guy that's like really came from the ranks of international from the Europe, which I'm proud to represent, Czech Republic. Hello. I'm super glad that this guy got a second contract. He's one of the top 10 left tackles in the game, and yeah, dude is awesome. He absolutely freaking deserves it. Now, he probably is going to face Job Robinson, and dude, I was critical of them for this pick, but it was all about the process, not necessarily about the player. And the process was, well, you have Jalen Phillips and you have Bradley Chubb on your roster. Why are you drafting another edge? You just paid the guy and the other guy is awaiting payment. Well, the reason was both of these guys combined played around 200 snaps last year. So yeah, you needed Chubb, and he definitely stepped up to the task, and especially in the second part of the year, he was big for them. Can he, continue on that trajectory? And what are we going to see? Because as of right now, it seems like both Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips should play. Well, suddenly we are talking about edge trio that is pretty dangerous. So Bernard Raimann is going to have his hands full. Now, with the next matchup, we will visit Daniel Jones versus Tua. I talk about Daniel a lot. I would just add, beating Anthony Richardson is unfortunately much easier than it should be, partially because of health concerns. We all saw that sack in the preseason where they just absolutely ignored the rusher and got smoked. And it's like the awareness thing for Anthony Richardson just needs to come. Otherwise, we will see. But I mean, do this still young. Perhaps there is a future for him. I would not rid him off, but Daniel Jones is kind of a choice out of necessity. Because the owner of the Colts died, it might put a little bit more pressure on Shane Steichen and his Colts front office to actually get into the playoffs. Otherwise, they might be fired. And with that, Daniel Jones is probably a smarter option. He's going to give you a decent floor, not much of an upside. And the fact that you talk about Daniel Jones as actually a guy that gives you a decent floor, I understand why there is not much buzz about the Colts. On the other side, Tua is very up and down in terms of how I perceive fans feel about Tua, because a lot of guys see, the amazing yards that he's been able to throw for in 22, and I'm like, okay, but you literally was just not handing the ball, but really quick passes towards Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, and most of those yards were after the catch. It's not necessarily that he was creating the one. At the same time, what I will say the critiques of Tua don't mention too much is he's really special in this. His quick release, his understanding of, I can let the ball quicker off my hand. I do trust in route combinations, in how the routes are going to evolve, and threading the tight windows, and even in the middle of the field. Yeah, sometimes he makes a stupid mistake, but at the same time, it's a very, very good trait of him, his release. But where he is, another injury last year, Tyreek perhaps losing the step, Jalen Waddle not necessarily ascending to be clear one. We will see. Now, the third is the guys that you might not know about, but both should be starting, and both are actually quite important. I will start with Matt Gonzalez. He played half of the season last year, and he was partially the reason why they felt good enough to let Will Fries go, because he played absolutely okay. Now, I would not say that Dolphins interior is necessarily great, but it's not a cakewalk. Zach Wheeler, Benito Jones, and draftee Kenneth Grant, they will put on pressure. So Matt Gonzalez needs to be ready, especially because he has another, not necessarily rookie, but a second-year player in Tanner Bortolini to replace Ryan Kelly. So these two young guys will need to have their bats ready, not to mention the edge, some kind of interesting, mesh concepts where you could go with defensive tackle, try to spin, so your edge has a matchup against bat. We will see, but they need to be ready. On the other side, Storm Duck, hell of a name, not hell of a player, at least in my eyes, and at least not for now. This dude is set up to start as their starting outside corner. And yeah, I'm scared about that. Truth is, they have Russell Douglas, they have Juju Brents. Both players are better. But at the same time, ESPN has him as a starter. So, okay, we will see. They probably see something I didn't. He's still young, he has a hell of a name. But if you think you can just get out with not having a great number 2 corner in this league, and it's not like your number 1 in Jake Jones is some sort of, how to say it nicely, a lockdown corner. Yeah, that's rough. On the other hand, is Daniel Jones necessarily the guy that's going to punish you? No, but he can throw the ball into the hands of his playmakers very, very quickly, whether it's Tyler Warren, whether it's Michael Pittman, whether it's Josh Downs. So this might be a game where Storm Duck kind of survives, because the threat of him, especially like some sort of bombs from Daniel Jones, hard to see. But, going against Michael Pittman, for example, who didn't necessarily have a great season, but similar to Mad Max, he was playing through the injury. And just because he is a crazy man, he was able to play through the back injury, which is like crazy for a wide receiver. So we will see. Storm Duck and Matt Gonsalves should have their plates full. We will see if they will get their lunch eaten. Now for the next game, what is my storyline for Jaguars versus Panthers? Do you want to guess, or should I tell? Well, I'll let you guess. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, my storyline is this ain't getting older. Okay, let's put this out. So it's just a free word. Ain't getting old. Ain't getting old. I'm sorry, guys. Ain't getting old. What am I talking about? Well, for this, I'm talking about these two guys. Bryce Young, I think the way he ended last year gave us a lot of promise. I mean, he was damn close to beating the Eagles. He was really damn good. And if he continues to play like that, his grade is going to skyrocket. I'm not saying he's going to ascend towards like Jaden Daniels or even like that year 1. But tier 3 for him this year, definitely a possibility. So don't give up on Bryce Young. I think he showed absolutely enough for his chance and for Panthers to actually feel good about him, especially now when they supplemented him with another roster talent. Now on the other side, well, I don't think it's going to get very old very quickly with like trying to watch Travis Hunter playing both sides. I'm excited, man. I am super freaking excited. Travis Hunter, I wish you nothing but the best. I don't think you can do it for more than like 130-ish% of the snaps. When you put the defense and offense as like 200, I think 130 is kind of it, because the stamina is just going to be brutal. And if they try it more, man, I'm just telling almost every play is like, well, let's try to make it about Travis Hunter and not necessarily make him a vocal player in that play in terms of like throw a ball at him. No, try to make him block. If he doesn't block, run towards his side. If you have your deep threat on him, let's just go route. It doesn't matter if you don't throw at him. If Travis Hunter needs to respect that and has to actually run with your deep threat, the stamina is going to go pretty fast. So I trust him. I trust him here. I think he's freaking crazy, man, in terms of how much he studies. But I will just sit and watch and try as he tries to do the unthinkable for me. I am excited. So neither of these storylines are not getting old for me. In terms of the rest of this matchup, well, let's go to two guys that I have in an elite category that, casual NFL fans don't know much about. Josh Allen, well, because of the name, perhaps yes, but because he plays on Jaguars, not necessarily a lot of people do understand that this dude, especially in 2023, was like top 8 guy. Last year, it was a bit of a step back, but, well, you can kind of add it to Jaguars really imploding internally. They did not play great as a unit, and he was still damn good. He's still a great pass rusher. So don't put it past him that, if there is better play around him, better play overall in terms of his team, he is this team number 1 edge rusher, and they are absolutely freaking lucky to have him. On the other side, Derek Brown. I mean, everybody knows about Chris Jones. Everybody knows about Dexter Lawrence. Some people will probably have like Quinnen Williams ahead of him. To me, Derek Brown is probably the third best defensive tackle in the league. Let's count Witta, no. Jalen Carter definitely ascending. But yeah, I think Derek Brown is absolute stud. And what you don't understand is not everything in terms of D-line is about pass rush. This guy is a stud in terms of his run defense. He might be the best run defender in the league, though Dexter Lawrence is also crazy and Witta as well. Derek has an upside as a pass rusher, but he's not absolutely great at it. Yet, I think of him like super highly, and he was big reason why like Panthers defense was kind of absolutely unwatchable last year, because he was not there. Just like, if you want to know how much important he is and how good he is, just watch the difference between how the D-line performed last year towards where he was back. And I think he's going to be back this year, and Panthers team could feel rejuvenated, and he could be a leader of the defense, really dragging, I would say, still not a great roster talent towards, let's say, an average defense. If so, Derek Brown is going to be in the forefront of that. Now, two guys that I'm not saying like you don't know about, but are actually low-key super important for success of this team, and I would say in this game as well. Walker Little, this is a guy that I think is going to be his like fifth year, but he was touted as potentially first round, then he went like in third or fourth, did not necessarily play. During COVID he sit out. Then there was Cam Robinson ahead of him on the depth chart, and finally last year he got his chance and he was good. The problem is like he's injury prone, though he should be ready for this matchup. And when he's entrusted to protect the blind side of Trevor Lawrence, that's a big job. Can he handle it? I absolutely think so. And especially like in this game, the edge of the Panthers is not necessarily great. Derek Brown is not Chris Jones, so he is not going to be moved around. This should be a game that he just kind of has on lock. Will he? We will see. On the other side, Tetero McMillan. I felt that this was a steal for the Panthers, and as of right now, he is slotted as their starting wide receiver number 1. We saw last year with Marv Harrison and Kyler Murray that the connection doesn't necessarily have to be there from day one. Will Bryce Young and Ted McMillan have this connection from day one? That could be a deciding factor not only in this game, but across the whole season and especially the start for the Panthers. Interesting matchup that, not of you like casual fans will watch, but definitely one that I'm really looking to like replay on Tuesday and tell you about much more. Now, Saints versus Cardinals is my next matchup, and for me the storyline is no stinkers allowed. On one side, what is there to say about Saints? Like, a lot of people predict them to have the number 1 seed, and if not, it's just because they think their division sucks, which kind of is true. On the other side, you have Cardinals that kind of in the middle part of last year, they start to get noticed. Like, what is this team? Like, how are they winning division? Before they suck, what's going on? And then they botched it. Kyler Murray was kind of bad. A lot of Call of Duty jokes emerged again. And they not only botched till winning the division side, they did not even make playoffs. But at the same time, they were ahead of the schedule. Jonathan Gannon is doing a hell of a job here. And Cardinals are one of those teams that not many people talk about. And they could be very dangerous. But this is a game that they kind of cannot win too much, but they can lose. If you lose to the Saints, that's a stain that I don't think will come off soon. I really don't think Saints are a great football team. So you cannot lose. But if you win, everyone will say, well, just Saints. So Cardinals, no stinkers allowed. Now for matchups, well, let's start with the quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler winning this job is, I would say, much more of an indictment on Tyler Shuck than on Spencer Rattler. I hope I'm wrong. He was an interesting prospect to pick up last year. I think it was in the 5th round. When he played, it was not pretty. We will see. He has much more to work with. Chris Olave is back. Rashid Shaheed is back. The offensive line, another investment there. So perhaps he was really good in camp, and this is not about Tyler Schaff, but yeah, I would not bet my money on it. Kyler Murray on the other side, again, for like first 8 or 10 weeks last year, I think he was like 7th in the MVP odds, perhaps even higher. Like, yeah. Then he botched it. Unfortunately, the connection with Marv wasn't there. He kind of played timid, did not necessarily run as much as he would like Kyler to use his legs and be that elite threat that he can be with his legs. So what is he right now? Like, is he a tier 3 guy that eventually, finally will move into tier 2, or is he kind of stuck there, and perhaps we will see some regression for him when the athletic tools are starting to fall off? We will see. Now, in terms of, how Tyler, not Tyler, yeah, I was so ready for Tyler to start, but he's not going to. In terms of how Spencer Rattler is going to perform, I think the big part of it is how this offensive line is going to do. And Saints did invest in it, and it's interesting line. I'm not going to say it's necessarily great just yet, but they have some interesting pieces, and we will see one of them, another rookie, have this, I wouldn't say as brutal of awakening as, guys like Josh Simmons, but going against Josh Sweat in his first game as a Cardinal after a really nice round in the playoffs with the Eagles last year. Yeah, I think Josh Sweat is going to try and prove that he's absolutely worth the money they gave him. And truth to be told, I think they kind of stole a lot of value on that contract. I think he's worth even more. So, Calvin Belks, get ready. You will have your hands full. Now, the other matchup I'm super interested is Marv Harrison. He bulked up during the offseason. That's the big storyline on him. Now he's probably going to be facing Kool-Aid McKinstry. If I'm Saints, I will probably try this. I'm not super confident in Ante Taylor or Quincy Riley to, match up with Marv. So, hope that they will do this. And if so, yeah, this is one of my matchup that I'm eager to watch. I think Marv should have an advantage, and if he doesn't, that could be a sign of, we just were too high on Marv Harrison. At the same time, can he put up ridiculous 150 yards, 3 touchdowns, and starting to show, guys, Brian, Malik, Led, I want to be the best wide receiver, not only from that class, but overall. And he has the traits to do so. Can he? We will see. Like I said in the kind of preview of this game, no stinkers allowed, that tells you, Cardinals should win this game. Will they? The difference is there for them, but I do see a path for the Saints to win this one. Jets versus Steelers. What could the storyline could be here? I let you guess, and now I'm going to tell you. Yeah, no script. I mean, I do not necessarily am one of these guys that are saying NFL is scripted, everything is determined and you are just morons. Yeah, I don't think that's the reality. But is there perhaps a little bit of tweakage with schedule and trying to, get the matchups that you want in certain positions or certain types of the year? And I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no, because, Jets versus Steelers, Justin Fields, former Steeler, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, former Jet. Yeah, this feels like this has been a little bit too obvious. And if not, it's nice how the fortune just got lucky here for the NFL, right? Now, yeah, it cannot start without these two guys. Both kind of exchange the teams. And both come with different expectations. The expectation for Aaron Rodgers is, Pittsburgh, we are all in. We probably not expect you to get an MVP, but can you be, 15th best quarterback in the league and, lead us to the Super Bowl? That's the expectations Pittsburgh. With Jets, I think the expectation is, Justin, we want to run the damn ball and run it more and then even more. So you are a good guy to do this. We will pay you money. And if you show us that you can pass the ball towards anyone but your number one wide receiver, maybe we have a future with you. Interested in this matchup. Very, very interested. Both of these guys are going to have a lot to be proven. I mean, on one side, Justin Fields was playing perhaps even his best football. He was not making mistakes, using his legs, and like he was good, first couple of weeks with the Steelers. Yet they benched him for Russell Wilson. I thought that was a good move, but I don't think Justin necessarily is happy about that. On the other way, Aaron Rodgers and his tenure with the Jets was really shit. And the fact that like he just got flown to New York to just be told, well, we are not counting with you, I'm not sure how well that sits with him as well. So both of these guys have a lot of desire to really show up in this one, no matter what Aaron Rodgers says to the press. Now, in terms of other matchups, well, like I said, can Justin Fields prove you that he can target anyone but his number one wide receiver? Well, even if not, Garrett Wilson is hell of a number one wide receiver to have. They obviously go back towards the college. And yeah, Garrett Wilson is definitely a guy that like is going to be fat. They paid him in the offseason. I felt like part of luring Justin Fields here was to appease Garrett Wilson, because it's a really nice position to be wide receiver one for Justin Fields, because he's looking at you and you only. Like, it's kind of like Arthur Smith and Jono Smith. Like, he has eyes for you all the time. Now, who is going to match up against Garrett Wilson? I'm intrigued about that. Well, you could say Darius Slay is a better corner. Yes, I think he is, but does he, at his age, necessarily has the physical skill set to match up against Garrett Wilson? Or do you go with younger, more twitchy guy in Joey Porter, who had a pretty bad year too? Well, neither of these guys are necessarily super great matchup with him. Jalen Ramsey, I think he's going to play more from nickel and slot, so not necessarily I think we will probably see matchup with Garrett Wilson over these guys. They might even be like, we don't care. And perhaps no matter who gets Garrett Wilson, we will get second safety there to help him. We will see, but definitely an interesting matchup if it happens, or if it happens repeatedly, because Joey Porter really struggled. And Garrett Wilson with Justin Fields, the connection is there. He could really take away this game. And, if you want a bet for a guy that could have, let's say even 200 yards, as much as Jets will want to run the football, yeah, Garrett Wilson, probably not week one, but some other weeks, why not? Now, the last one is Cam Hayward, who had his problems with the organization in the offseason, when he was like, well, I deserve to get paid much more than I am. And I actually do deserve it. I actually do agree with him. I think this man is underpaid. He is still one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He had an amazing year. And to me, he probably was the best guy on the defensive line last year. And now, unfortunately for the Jets, they lost Elijah Vera-Tucker to a season-ending injury. It's sad for Elijah because he's really damn good, but unfortunately injuries are derailing his career. What does it mean? They are moving Joe Tipman towards a guard, and Josh Myers, a guy that Green Bay let go, is going to start as a center. And, Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward, as your welcome to the Jets party, he needs to be good. He needs to be good. Otherwise, this defensive line can absolutely take over. And it's such a shame, because I felt that this Jets offensive line could be sneakily one of the top 5 at the end of the year, because the talent was really there. But losing Vera-Tucker really sucks. And obviously, the defensive line for the Steelers is one of the best. So the matchup could have been very interesting. Right now, the scale definitely tipped towards the Steelers. Next one, divisional rivalry, Falcons versus the Bucks. And what's my storyline? Here, I'll let you guys guess. Okay, enough guessing. My storyline is Cousins scored plenty. I mean, yes, Kirk Cousins overall is a disaster signing for the Falcons. His season was not good, but when he played Tampa Bay, he looked like a freaking prime Tom Brady. He just absolutely shredded Todd Bowles' defense twice. And, not to say that because of that, Michael Penix should feel an additional pressure, but I'm not saying he shouldn't. And especially because I actually picked Raheem Morris to be a guy that perhaps after 4 Falcons could be 0-4, they need this game. They really do. I really believe that. Now, what types of matchups should we look for? Well, I told you, Michael Penix, he looked really good last year, but did he play against the best opposition? No. Did he play with kind of free of expectations mentality? Yes. Was he an older prospect, ready to play, and actually had like 12 weeks to learn behind Kirk Cousins that is a really good guy? Yes. So how much those couple of weeks really tell you a story about Michael Penix and how much you actually should be, this is going to be a great player this year? I would hold my horses on this. I'm interested, but I'm far from certain. So Michael has a lot of work to do. And first game of a new year, Todd Bowles learning why his defense was actually kind of bad last year and why specifically Falcons just absolutely shred them to pieces. I think Todd is going to let all the dogs loose on him. And especially with Anton Winfield, who also struggled with injuries last year. He was not looking good. I even stripped him of my elite status because he played a lot. It was not an old Anton Winfield. But I definitely do believe he's going to come back towards that elite status. He's going to be like this on me, GMaty, you are stupid. I'm back. And he could be a guy that could pick Michael Penix week 1. Now, in terms of what the rest of the game is going to be all about, well, can they finally generate pressure? We talk about defensive line for the Falcons being one of those that, they are solid in stopping the run, but rushing the passer, not so much. And they went and drafted Jalen Walker. But week 1, Tristan Wirfs, as of right now, is questionable. We don't know if he's going to play, but being this a divisional rivalry, being this perhaps a team that as a Bucs you might be the most afraid, and with the Bucs there is one big concern that I have for them is the depth on the offensive line. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I would say Tristan Wirfs is going to, suck it up and is going to play. If so, this is kind of a welcome to the NFL moment rookie from the other perspective. Try in your first game go against Tristan Wirfs. Good effing luck. And it does not end there because they went and throw a lot. They kind of thrown their future in a way on this problem. Drafting James Pierce, sacrificing first round next year. Atlanta really kind of went all in. And even if you try to scheme James Pierce to not go against Tristan Wirfs, on the other side, there is Luke freaking Gedicki. Another guy that just got paid, absolutely freaking deservedly. One of top 7 right tackles in the league. Guy that's constantly edging a little bit. I think there's an amazing starter in him in the future. And a rock solid right tackle. So did the Falcons, fixed out their defensive line issue? And if so, this would be a good game to show up, but it's not going to be an easy one because the offensive line of the Bucs, when healthy, is damn freaking good. And at the end of the day, if I said Falcons might go 0-4, I probably want to pick them right here, right? Now, last matchup that I will introduce to you, there will be part 2 released tomorrow, so watch out for that. But last one is the Browns versus Bengals. And my storyline is, it's Browns, Zach. I mean, Zach Taylor is pissing me off. How do you start 1-11 in the first 2 weeks in the 6 years that he is their head coach with the Bengals? With this team, how do you do it? And it's not like they are just having this tremendous hard schedule. They lost to the Patriots week 1 last year. How do you at home? How do you freaking do that? And this year, it's kind of similar. They have Browns on the road, and then they are playing Jaguars. I mean, if they lose to the Browns, to me, that's a fireable offense. Okay, if you lose and you look flat, because if you cannot make this, if you cannot understand that week 1 freaking matters, that you need to have your guys looking sharp, what the hell are you doing there? What the hell are you bringing to the table? I think they absolutely need to come here and look ready. If they will probably crush the Browns. If they again look flat, I will blame Zach Taylor even much more. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think he's a bad head coach, but I do believe Joe Burrow deserves better. Now, for the matchups in the game, we'll start with Quinton Judkins against BJ Hill. I like the pick for the Browns. He had a lot of problems off the field. As of right now, ESPN still has him as a second starter, so I would trust them and their depth chart that he might be playing. And if so, or even if he's not, the running game is what the Browns are going to rely on. I think they're clearly, with Joe Flacco, is going to be about, well, we do believe we have amazing defense led by Myles Garrett. We have solid but aging offensive line. We have several interesting players in terms of our running back room, leading with Quinton Judkins. And we want to run the damn ball and play good defense. And occasionally Joe Flacco throw a bomb to Jerry Jeudy, and let's hope and pray that he can catch it and we got a big chunk. On the other side, who is there to stop the run? One of the guys is BJ Hill. This defensive line of the Bengals needs to be much better than last year. It's still probably Trey Hendrickson and the guys, but if there's anyone that I do trust to be good help for Trey, I do believe in BJ Hill. So one to watch. Next one, Jerry Jeudy versus Cam Taylor-Britt. I told you, Joe Flacco, he can sail it. At the same time, he can sail it over your head. He can sail it into the double coverage. Jerry Jeudy last year with Jameis Winston, he had some amazing games. Joe Flacco, he can deliver similar throws as Jameis Winston can. On who is going to cover him, well, Bengals don't necessarily have a number one corner, but they have several interesting young guys. One of them is Cam Taylor-Britt. I think his length could be what they try to use, and especially he has a decent ball skill. So if Joe Flacco is overthrowing, Cam Taylor-Britt could be there to capitalize. And the last one, well, we talked about welcome to the NFL moment. Bengals and their offensive line is bad. And they will start Dylan Fairchild, third round guard that I feel like was drafted a little bit early. And week 1, Myles Garrett. And if I think Browns won't try to scheme Myles one-on-one with Dylan Fairchild and really try to take advantage of this guy, you are wrong. They will. And Myles Garrett, as much as I was not a huge fan of him staying with the Browns, because I feel like Browns would be better off with the ransom that they could get for Myles. And Myles, I wanted to see him with a contender, which I don't think Browns are going to be for at least 2 years. He is going to be playing pissed. He's going to be playing great. He wants his DPOI back. And this is definitely a defensive line that he could eat against. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but am I actually going to pick the Browns here? I actually might. There are some interesting matchups for the Browns that they could capitalize on. And yeah, the difference between two Joes behind the realm is huge, but it's the Bengals week 1. Do I trust them to fix that issue? Well, we will see. So this was your week 1 preview, part 1, part 2 coming tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to add anything, leave a like, leave a comment. It's very much appreciated. And see you tomorrow with the next one. Bye-bye.